The early 20th century was a time of great change and tension in Europe. Nationalism ran high, and countries formed powerful alliances. A conflict between two nations could quickly drag many others into war. The spark came on June 28, 1914, in Sarajevo, Bosnia. Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife were assassinated by a Serbian nationalist. Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia and issued an ultimatum. When Serbia failed to meet the demands, Austria-Hungary declared war. World War I had begun. The initial German plan was to quickly defeat France in the west before turning to Russia in the east. The German army invaded neutral Belgium on August 4, 1914. This outraged Great Britain, which declared war on Germany. The early weeks saw rapid German advances, but the French, bolstered by British troops, halted the advance at the Battle of the Marne. Trench warfare, a new and brutal form of combat, emerged on the Western Front. Soldiers on both sides dug elaborate trench systems protected by barbed wire, machine guns, and artillery. The area between the trenches, known as no man's land, became a deadly obstacle course. Life in the trenches was miserable. Soldiers endured constant shelling, sniper fire, and the threat of poison gas attacks. Disease was rampant, and the psychological toll of prolonged combat was immense. The Battle of the Somme, which began on July 1, 1916, epitomized the horrors of trench warfare. On that fateful day, British forces suffered nearly 60,000 casualties, the bloodiest day in British military history. Despite months of fighting, the Battle of the Somme resulted in only minor territorial gains, highlighting the futility of trench warfare. World War I was a global conflict, drawing in empires and colonies from around the world. The British Empire, with its vast colonial possessions, mobilized troops from India, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa. These soldiers fought bravely on all fronts, contributing significantly to the Allied war effort. The Ottoman Empire, allied with Germany and Austria-Hungary, played a crucial role in the war. The Ottoman Empire controlled access to the Black Sea and the Eastern Mediterranean, posing a threat to Allied supply lines. The Gallipoli campaign, launched by the Allies in 1915 to capture the Dardanelles Strait, ended in a costly failure. Japan, allied with Great Britain, seized German colonies in China and the Pacific, expanding its own imperial ambitions. The United States, initially neutral, entered the war on the side of the Allies in 1917, tipping the balance of power in their favor. Machines of modernity. World War I witnessed the advent of new technologies that transformed warfare. Machine guns, artillery, tanks, airplanes, and submarines all played significant roles in the conflict, increasing its scale and lethality. Machine guns, capable of firing hundreds of rounds per minute, made it extremely difficult to cross open ground. Artillery, more powerful and accurate than ever before, bombarded enemy trenches and supply lines, inflicting heavy casualties. Tanks, first used in battle in 1916, provided a means to break through enemy defenses, but were initially unreliable and prone to breakdowns. Airplanes, initially used for reconnaissance, soon evolved into weapons of war, engaging in dogfights and bombing raids. Submarines, used primarily by Germany, targeted Allied shipping in an attempt to strangle their supply lines. Turning the tide. The year 1917 proved to be a turning point in the war. The United States' entry into the conflict on the side of the Allies provided a much-needed boost to their morale and resources. The United States Navy helped to counter the German submarine threat, while American troops, arriving in large numbers in 1918, bolstered the Allied forces on the Western Front. Russia's withdrawal from the war in late 1917, following the Bolshevik Revolution, allowed Germany to transfer troops from the Eastern Front to the West. However, the German offensive in the spring of 1918, though initially successful, ultimately failed to break through Allied lines. The Allied counter-offensive, launched in August 1918, proved decisive. With fresh American troops and superior firepower, the Allies pushed back the German army on all fronts. By the fall of 1918, Germany's allies had collapsed, its army was exhausted, and its people were war-weary. The world at war, the impact of World War I extended far beyond the battlefields of Europe. The war disrupted global trade, causing widespread economic hardship. Food shortages and rationing became commonplace in many countries. The war also led to the deaths of millions of civilians, both from combat and from disease and famine. The Spanish flu pandemic of 1918 to 1919, exacerbated by wartime conditions, killed an estimated 50 million people worldwide. The war had a profound impact on the lives of women. With millions of men away fighting, women took on new roles in factories, farms, and offices, challenging traditional gender roles. The war also led to the collapse of empires and the redrawing of the map of Europe. The Austro-Hungarian, Ottoman, and Russian empires all disintegrated, replaced by new nations. The war also had a lasting impact on the Middle East, as the Ottoman Empire was carved up by the victorious Allied powers. Armistice and Aftermath. On November 11, 1918, Germany, facing imminent defeat, signed an armistice with the Allies. The guns fell silent on the Western Front after more than 4 years of bloody conflict. The world rejoiced at the end of the war, but the cost of victory was staggering. An estimated 16 million people, both soldiers and civilians, had perished in the conflict. Millions more were wounded, physically and psychologically scarred by the horrors they had witnessed. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, officially ended the war, but sowed the seeds for future conflict. The treaty blamed Germany for the war and imposed harsh reparations payments on the defeated nation. Germany was also stripped of territory, and its military was severely restricted. These punitive measures left Germany economically and politically unstable, creating resentment that would contribute to the rise of Adolf Hitler and the outbreak of World War II. A world transformed. World War I had a profound and lasting impact on the world. It marked the end of an era, shattering the old order and ushering in a new age of uncertainty and instability. The war accelerated technological advancements, but it also led to the development of more destructive weapons. The war also had a significant impact on international relations, leading to the creation of the League of Nations, the forerunner to the United Nations. The League of Nations was founded on the principle of collective security, with the goal of preventing future wars. However, the League proved ineffective in preventing the outbreak of World War II. World War I was a global tragedy that left an indelible mark on human history. It serves as a stark reminder of the human cost of war and the importance of diplomacy and international cooperation in resolving conflicts peacefully. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more history facts.